What's up, everyone? Welcome to the FYF live show. I'm your host, Simon Grunewald, joined as always by my bud and co-host, John-Luke Garofalo. Joe, how you doing today after this Valentine's Day weekend?
Fantastic, Simon. The coffee shop I went to on Valentine's Day morning had the most delicious Valentine's Day cookies, and I got a box, raspberries, perfect, my wife's favorite kind.
I went to there's a new, I say new to me vegan bakery nearby, and my tummy's quite sensitive to lactose. So I've been cutting out sweet treats recently because every baked good in the world is full of butter and milk, and that leads to diarrhea in my toilet. But I loaded up on all of their Valentine's sweet treats as well. Some raspberry scones and a strawberry croissant and a cinnamon roll with, I don't know what the hell they made the cream cheese icing out of, but it tasted just like cream cheese icing. So I got some Valentine's Day treats without
cream cheese.
the associated consequences that I usually get with something like that.
Sounds pretty good. How was your weekend?
I saw a man sing in front of a room of 30 people on Friday night in what was a way more intimate concert experience than I thought I signed up for. It was a Love is in the Air Valentine's concert at a local museum, and there was truly 30 of us, and they locked the gates to the museum. So we were like trapped. He was a phenomenal singer, but it was like he got up in front of the room and was like, "Oh, hey, Mary, Ed, how you doing? Oh, we got two Marys in the room." And like he knew everyone in there. It was definitely not. It wasn't for us, but we bought tickets and went. And what an experience! It was very interesting. Ken Slavin and Barry Breaks, you guys killed it. You guys absolutely killed it up there. Barry Breaks on the piano, and he would say things like, "This next one's a little saucy." And
for the ladies.
It would be saucy in the sense of like something from 1940s is saucy. Not like saucy in 2025 terms. We got some people in the chat ready to talk some ball with us. Our friend Dave stopping by. What's up, Dave? Hope things are good in Dynasty. I see you moved from Toronto to Dynasty land. Oh, that wasn't me. That was someone else's phone.
Yeah, sorry, that was me. That was my mom calling.
Yeah, that was
to make sure that I'm still me.
And that was my wife calling JL in the middle of the stream.
Yeah. Whoops. Told you not to call.
Yeah. Come on, Leanne. You're giving it away right on there. Dave, I want to know your thoughts on the cheating scandal going on in the world of curling. It's been rocking the Olympic world, and the Canadian team known, not Penisgate, that wasn't cheating, that was bending the rules. There is a Canadian curler who double booped the stone.
A double boop?
You're not allowed to double boop the stone before it crosses the line below the handle with his finger. And then whenever he was called out for it, instead of admitting that he did it in what is usually a self-policing sport, he doubled down, blamed the other team for catching him. And then when he was accused again of doing it by the Swedes, he had the same response, that I've never gotten in trouble for doing this. Okay, are you admitting that you've been doing it for the last decade and this is the first time you've been called out on it?
Yeah. Can the referees not intervene here? Is this against the rules?
So that is the interesting thing about curling. It is similar to I can't think of
basketball.
Similar to pickup basketball. It is very much self-policed.
Call your own foul.
It is a gentleman's sport where the curlers often call their own fouls, and you'll see that throughout the Olympics. Multiple curlers have said, "Oops, I touched it again," or something along those lines, and had their stones removed. And Dave in here, coming from a Canadian, saying, "I'm ashamed of that curler. He is no longer Canadian."
Wow.
He cheated and then played victim. SMH.
That's the worst combo. That's the worst combo to do.
Absolute worst. He took what was like, I think everyone usually generally cheers for the Canadians in the Winter Olympics. They're a very likable squad. And then this guy just came out and just like destroyed all the good grace that the Canadian curling team had. I'm still cheering for the other teams when they're not playing the United States, but that curling team, just brutal. Uneasy Allies stopping by. What up, my friend? What up? What up?
What up, allies?
John-Luke, today I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the free agents that are hitting free agency this offseason. I was going to start with running backs, but we got hit with some pretty major wide receiver free agency news this morning, so I figured we would start there instead. I'm going to pull up a list of those free agents, and usually when someone gets added at this point in the season, they don't make it to the top of the list.
Not today.
But today, whenever you refreshed your page about a couple hours ago, there was a
Just
brand
now
new
for me.
name sitting at the top of the list with previous average annual value on their contract, and that is Tyreek Hill, along with Bradley Chubb, released by the Miami Dolphins this morning. Now an unrestricted free agent, was making $30 million a year on his deal with Miami, almost $10 million more than the next most valuable wide receiver hitting free agency. Wow. Surely he will not get that much on his next contract this season. Aging wide receiver. I don't think he quite performed up to that standard the past year, but he's the biggest name out there right now, especially with Mike Evans maybe going back to the Bucs. Like, that one seems a little bit more up in the air. Tyreek Hill is open to go anywhere. John Luke, what do you think of this news? Do you think the Dolphins released him just because they're going into rebuild mode? And what do you think is next for Tyreek Hill?
Yeah, I think it's a good move by the Dolphins. He's coming off the injury. He's old. They are trying to figure out what their next step is, which is likely going to be, if not a long-term rebuild, a short-term rebuild. Either way, they could get rid of their old guys, Bradley Chubb, Tyreek Hill. It feels like these guys are feel like two of the more toxic individuals in the NFL. No disrespect, but it feels like the Dolphins made a good move here.
I tend to agree with you. They weren't competing necessarily this year. They're looking to get a new quarterback in there as well. This does look like a bit of a rebuild for this team. Came out this morning that ideally they want to trade Tua. We'll see if there's a market for it. If they can't find a trade on his current contract, they are likely to release him as well later this offseason. Yeah. When I look at Tyreek Hill, there's two teams that jump to mind immediately as landing spots for him. Probably the obvious ones. The Chiefs. Going back to the Chiefs, reuniting with Patrick Mahomes. They don't have anyone there. They got Marquise Brown, who I believe is also a free agent, as their leading receiver. Yeah, Marquise Brown sitting here, unrestricted free agent going into this offseason. Outside of him, they got Juju. They got, who else is sitting there in Kansas City still? It's kind of ugly.
Xavier Worthy, Rashee
Rice coming back off injury. Tyreek Hill could come in there and maybe be the wide receiver 2 to a Rashee Rice that comes back, or a wide receiver 1 to a Rashee Rice that doesn't.
Dude, that would feel so gross if they brought Tyreek back. That would just feel so anticlimactic.
The other one that came to mind immediately is another, why can't I think of this word? Reunion with his head coach from Miami in Los Angeles. Mike McDaniel is now the offensive coordinator for the Chargers. The Chargers are losing Keenan Allen potentially in free agency as well. You could see him go there, pair with Ladd McConkey. They're two very different styles of receivers. Give Justin Herbert another weapon in that offense. And it's with an offensive coordinator that he has some familiarity with.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just feel like they should not.
End of analysis.
Yeah.
Both teams. You seem to have a fairly negative view on how Tyreek Hill is going to impact the team that he lands on. He's still a good wide receiver, but I do understand what you're saying, and that he brings something besides just his football skills to a locker room over the last couple of years.
Yeah. Extra story, extra narrative. And honestly, it's just football, just keeping it just to football. I think my opinion doesn't change. It's that Tyreek Hill's likely best days are behind him. I don't think that's a hot take. He's 31.9.
I agree with you. A team that always needs wide receiver help. Jerry Jeudy has been their leading receiver. Harold Fannin might have been their leading receiver this year. The Browns. I don't know if Tyreek Hill has it in him to play a season for the Browns. I think he'd make it 6 games in before he just said, I quit. But I could see a team like the Browns trying to throw some money at him if they've got the space, and bringing in like an elite receiver instead of admitting like, oh, we need to do a full rebuild.
Right.
Just be like, oh no, we got Myles Garrett. Now we got Myles Garrett and Tyreek Hill.
Right. God, that would be the spot though.
Seems like something the Browns would do, wouldn't it?
Deshaun Watson comes back. He's throwing a Tyreek Hill, Harold Fannin.
Oh God, Deshaun Watson to Tyreek Hill might be the most unlikable. I'm not sure I'd turn on a single Browns game that season.
Todd Monken offense.
Oh dear God. I feel like it has to happen at this point.
It's
Dynasty Dave said a career resurgence is a tough hill to climb. We got uneasy allies in here saying I'm missing poll perception.
Dude, me too. I want to play right now.
Let's get some poll perception this week, Joe. You want to do some poll perception?
Yeah, I'm totally down. And pretty soon we're gonna have a game where you guys can play with us.
Ooh, a little teaser. It could be JL versus the squad out there in poll perception. See if you guys can take him down. We got Dame saying, hi, FYF friends. Welcome in, Dame. Glad to have you here. John Luke, I want to read a list to you. I went through and looked at teams that were listed as wide receiver needy. Some are obvious. They're sitting at the top of the list. This is more in reference to the NFL draft, but a lot of the needs correlate. You got to solve that need one way or another, either via the draft or via free agency. Right. The ones on that list are the Bills. Obvious. They've got nobody at wide receiver. The Panthers, they've got McMillan sitting there, but after McMillan, not too much that they're excited about. Would probably like another receiver weapon for Bryce Young.
Jalen Coker. Disrespect.
Okay. I mean, Jalen Coker is probably a great wide receiver 3 for an offense. I don't think you necessarily want him as like one of your feature guys.
Who's the other guy? Xavier Legette.
Again, I think Tyreek Hill, Mike
What do
Evans,
you want, Simon?
Christian
You want
Kirk.
too much from us.
No, I want more from the Panthers wide receiver core is what I want. The Cowboys got CeeDee Lamb, but George Pickens is a free agent. If they don't franchise tag him, they're a wide receiver needy team as well. The Broncos, you got Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick. Not much after there.
Troy Franklin.
The Packers got a whole squad of middle guys. They got a bunch of wide receiver 2s. I think they're just collecting them at this point.
Ton of Jamison Crowders.
Jaguars, Brian Thomas Jr. was not the guy that they expected him to be this year, so they're likely a wide receiver needy team. You got the Chiefs, Chargers, Patriots, Jets, Titans, and Commanders. A lot of these teams have names that are on this list right here. So with those in mind, going down this list, I wonder if there's any that jump out at you as obvious pairings.
Obvious pairings with each other? Or
like I'll start with one that jumps out at me. Juwan Jennings, it's expected that the 49ers will not pay up on his expected contract value of $22 million a year, given that they're still on the hook for Brandon Ayuk as well. His former coach is in Tennessee now, Robert Saleh. We could see him pair up with Saleh on the Tennessee Titans, a wide receiver or a team with a young quarterback looking for difference makers at the position. And Jennings showed that he can likely be a wide receiver 1 this season in the right situation.
See that? That'd be an interesting pick. I don't know. Do you believe in that Jennings is talented?
I believe that he's talented. I famously got into a heated debate with one of my coworkers that Mike Williams was by far and away the better NFL wide receiver than Juwan Jennings. And Mike Williams has done nothing but make me look stupid since then. And Juwan Jennings has done nothing but make me look stupider since then. It seemed like an even take at the time. And then their trajectories just went absolute opposite directions from that point. Yeah. I think he's good. I think he's a good wide receiver. Do I think he's worth $22 million? No, this might be another Christian Kirk $20 million man situation. Like, look what happened with Christian Kirk. $18 million on his previous contract, average annual value. He's looking at 5.3 as his projected market value right now. I think there's a tendency for teams to overpay for this second tier of wide receiver. And the 49ers, I don't think are going to do it. But the Titans might, to get that playmaker for their young quarterback.
Yeah, Christian Kirk is your playmaker. Or Juwan Jennings, I guess, is the guy specifically we're talking about. Because I was thinking of Christian Kirk. He was on the Jaguars when he got that big contract, right? The $21 million.
Yeah, and then traded to the Texans, still on that contract. Or it was
still
close
on
to
that contract. Okay. I forgot he was traded. Yeah, that's a really good point. The step down is a big. I'm trying to look at like what other players went big step down. Looks like Diami Brown. That makes sense. Hasn't done a ton.
Tutu Atwell
hasn't done a ton. Debo just a little bit. That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, that one's pretty even. Like that's hardly. Maybe that's just like he's a year older. Know what I mean? Like he's an aging wide receiver. Knock $2 million off. Marquise Brown, kind of similar, 7 million to 5.5. I know that's a step down, but it's not the massive one that we're seeing with these other guys.
Yeah, like DeAndre Hopkins, Keenan Allen, Keenan Allen actually jumped up.
Yeah, I think he's proven that he's still got some juice in him. You see him at this age, he's no longer relying on, or he's shown that maybe that fall off isn't as precipitous as they thought it was going to be. So the market value's gone up on a guy like Keenan Allen.
Yeah, that makes sense. Dude, Wan'Dale Robinson, big jump, 2 million to 17 million.
You want to see another big one down here?
Oh,
He's hidden way in the list. George Pickens, 1.7 million to 30.6 million projected value.
Holy shit.
Oh, and he's about to be so pissed because the Cowboys are 100% franchise tagging him.
So, but that's fine for him, right? He still gets a high contract.
He will still get a high contract, but it's 1 year. He probably wants to sign a multi-year deal worth 30 million multiple years in a row. Like now he's got to go do it again on the franchise tag with a healthy CD Lamb to prove that he's still worth that. I can't imagine his value goes up this season, which is why he's going to fight tooth and nail to get a new contract instead of hitting that franchise tag. I just don't see it happening.
That is brutal. That is very brutal. Man, he did a lot for himself.
He did do a lot for himself this year.
Deebo Samuel, another big jump up, 1.6 million to 20 million. He earned it.
And then the other one that's interesting to me is Rashid Shaheed. I've been curious where he's going to end up. Are the Seahawks going to re-sign him? Because he seemed very important to that offense and the ability to stretch the field. But that's a big jump in value, up to 14 million a year is the expected contract value there. And I feel like there's a lot of teams that could use a player like him in their offense. Funnily enough, the Bills immediately come to mind as like the team that could really benefit from a Rashid Shaheed type player.
Yeah, no, yeah. Why does it seem like he'd fit there so well? It's because they love those little guys. Keon Coleman's that's all I could think of. Who's the other guy that they have?
Maybe he goes back to New Orleans.
I was thinking that with Tyreek Hill. I'm like, that would be a good place to send him. Just send Tyreek Hill to New Orleans to finish out his career.
Who else do they have as wide receivers there in New Orleans? Who's on the depth chart? Olave, and is there anyone else behind him?
Yeah, there's that other guy.
Dante Pettis, Ronnie Bell.
That's their second string is Dante Pettis?
Let's take a peek.
There's
Devon
one other
Vele,
guy there. Vele, yeah.
And Bub Means, Jalen Polk, and Trey Palmer.
Whew, yeah,
Mason Tipton, Kevin Austin Jr., Ronnie Bell, and Samori Torre. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, Samori.
Torre.
You and Tyler Shuff. I'm just getting wrong over and over and over again.
Rip.
Shuck. Just saying it so everyone knew I was joking there. Debo, I thought was dead in the water whenever he went to Washington. I was convinced that Terry McLaurin was going to be the wide receiver one there, and that Debo's career was declining after his time in San Francisco, but he seemed to prove it as well. I feel like there's a lot of interesting pairings that could happen. I know this is a kind of open-ended question, but are there any players here that worry you from a fantasy perspective? Maybe they showed up this year. Probably one of the names we've talked about where their value has gone way up, but a new situation could really impact their value to fantasy, like where they were dependent on the situation they were in and they're going to be overdrafted next year.
Yeah, that's a good question. Mike Evans, if he doesn't go to Tampa Bay, could be a question mark. Could be overvalued. I don't think Christian Kirk's going to get overvalued. Debo Samuel might. Terry McLaurin coming back, like you said, could just be harder to be relevant. He really benefited from Terry McLaurin negotiating his contract and then being injured. Who was it else? Wan'Dale Robinson? I really hope not. I really hope that guy doesn't fall off because it's been really fun watching that. I think Rashid Shaheed could get a little bit of a hype boost, and it might not necessarily translate next year.
Dude, that's the one that jumps out at me heavily. I like Rashid Shaheed. I like what he did, but he seemed more important for the Seahawks offense than valued as a fantasy player. You know what I mean? Like you put him in another offense where he's not required to be the field stretcher, game breaker kind of player. And suddenly he doesn't have the same value for fantasy that he has, but he's your typical like fun player to draft. He's got the big play upside. He can break one loose at any moment. That's the kind of guy that people start getting excited about. Your boom bust type wide receivers. But put him on a new team and he could just bust.
Just kind of fizzle, yeah.
Just kind of fizzle out. Were we hyped about him when he was on the Saints? A little bit. I know our friend Matt Deutsch was, but outside of that, there wasn't too much excitement around him. Let's see, like prior to this year, we're looking at one season above 700 receiving yards prior to this season. 2 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns. It hasn't been all that pretty for Rashid Shaheed as a receiver in the NFL, and suddenly he's got all this hype behind him. I hope he ends up back on the Seahawks. Then I'm a little bit more comfortable drafting him.
Yeah.
But if he ends up in a situation where there's a crowded wide receiver room, he's not going to have that same impact to me. And I like that you brought up Wan'Dale Robinson. He's known as a guy that is kind of dependent on volume. And those are names that scare me as well whenever they're changing situations.
Yeah. Yep. Because that volume might change.
140 targets exactly each of the last 2 seasons for Wan'Dale Robinson. 140 targets leading to just over 1,000 yards this year, 700 yards last year, 3 touchdowns last year, 4 touchdowns this most recent season.
Our king.
Without 140 targets, though, I don't know if he's got fantasy value. I don't know if he's that dude. If he gets 85 targets,
Giants, he'll get 140 targets.
If he's on the Giants. So I'm with you there. If that dude stays on the Giants, he's likely to remain in that role. But you stick him on one of these other teams, you stick him on the Commanders, they get rid of Deebo Samuel and grab themselves a Wan'Dale Robinson. I'm not sure he gets 140 targets. You put him on the Jaguars, BTJ has a little bit of a resurgence, gets his head straight, becomes that wide receiver one you want. Wan'Dale Robinson could just get the scraps.
I agree with your point, Simon, but I think you chose the wrong example in the last one. Okay. The Washington one, Wan'Dale Robinson on Washington might just be an ace. Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. I hear you, but I do think like there's a way where he's not the primary target whenever he lands in Washington. Terry McLaurin remains the primary target, and I don't think Wan'Dale Robinson as the second target on a team has the fantasy value that we're looking for.
Maybe his yak improves after his yards after the catch improves after, or in like a Washington system than a New York Giants system where he's the main guy.
His yards per reception was the highest of his career this year at 11. So it does show that maybe he's changing the way that he plays the game. It's not just those short yardage, 7.5, 8.8 were the 2 seasons before that. 11 yards per reception is nothing to sneeze at looking at this kind of receiver, but
just over 1,000 yards on 140 targets.
1,014. Yeah, I guess that math kind of maths out, doesn't it? You probably could have done that one yourself. I gave you the targets. How many receptions? Dude, his numbers, absurdly consistent. Last year, 140 targets in 2024, 93 receptions. This year, 140 targets, 92 receptions.
Wow.
Just one catch off from exactly matching his reception and target statistics from the previous season.
Insane.
Dynasty Dave said the need for Shaheed.
Shaheed.
I hope the Seahawks feel it.
You think George Pickens could be a disappointment next year?
Yeah. I 100% think so. He had 1,400 yards this season, 3rd in the NFL. CeeDee Lamb was injured for portions of the year, played injured for portions. It's a team that's going to chuck the ball around. I don't expect them to fall off a cliff, but another top 5 PPR season is really hard to predict from the second most talented wide receiver on the Dallas Cowboys. And like, that's no shade to George Pickens. He's a great player, but dude, CeeDee Lamb is CeeDee Lamb. I will be surprised if Pickens outperforms him 2 years in a row. And maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I'm holding on to priors, but we have a lot of prior information on CeeDee Lamb.
No, that's fair. I think one thing that I will say that makes me think otherwise is that his contested catch ability and his like skill set as a wide receiver seem to be a step above a lot of other wide receivers. He seems to be in that category where I think he could actually step up into a CeeDee Lamb role, whereas like a Wan'Dale Robinson, he ain't gonna do it. It's just not gonna happen. It's not in the cards for Wan'Dale.
Dude, that might break CD if he comes back and George Pickens is like, I'm the boss now. Last year wasn't a fluke. I'm the king. I'm the man in charge.
No,
I think
all
CD's
the
trying to
rest
get
of the
out of there.
players, like, aren't looking him in the eye. They're just like, stay away.
Outside of that, the only other name on here that I'm really interested in watching is our man DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know how much gas he has left in the tank. He seems to be good for a couple really crucial
Plays.
touchdowns a year, a couple
Yeah.
like really great plays a year, but putting him in a situation where maybe he was more required, you could see like he's still talented. We saw that on the Ravens this season. He has the ability to make those kind of plays. They just didn't need him. And that offense didn't work. The offense was broken, and whenever it wasn't broken, it went through Zay Flowers. So if he lands on a team though where he's the dude or maybe the second dude, and they don't have an elite tight end and a borderline elite second string tight end, maybe DeAndre Hopkins could be a sneaky like wide receiver 3 flex kind of player next year that you could sneak in at the end of your drafts.
Yeah, I would love that. I'm hopeful for that, Simon. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm hopeful.
Dave said, "Look at me. I'm the captain now." That's George Pickens. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of this list, see if there's anybody that we're missing. Sometimes these players hide down there that really.
Gunnar Olszewski, what are the Giants going to do?
No. They'll probably be fine.
Dude, I don't know if you saw that play where Gunnar he ran into like a brick wall on a return this season. Did you see that?
No.
I think he got concussed by it.
I'm going to have to pull that up. I have a Jill, do you remember whenever you and I were playing pickup basketball in college against a guy named Tank? And I was so confident driving into that lane. I thought I was going to go straight through him. And Gunnar Olszewski did so hard where I just ran into a brick wall. Tank did not move.
Yeah, you don't go through Tank. Tank goes through you.
I had like a bruise on my thigh from just hitting that dude. He didn't move.
And you hit him in the knees.
I did hit him
in the kneecaps and in your thigh. You got a thigh injury.
It radiated up the thigh.
Scotty Miller.
Scotty
Miller.
Hope
you get a job, Scotty.
Yeah, I hope someone hires you at this point. John Luke, I think later this week we'll probably talk a little bit more about the running backs. And then as this free agency news develops, as we start getting some more landing spots closer to the NFL draft, I'm sure some of these guys will sign beforehand. We'll see the rest of them land after these teams know their entire picture with the guys that they're getting.
They can be signed now, right?
I believe so. I believe you can start seeing players sign, but I may be entirely wrong.
Who's going to break the seal?
I apologize.
Take a bet. Pick one player.
Pick one player that's the first one to sign.
Yeah.
Mike Evans.
You biased bastard.
Well, I think either the Bucs are going to get it done quick, or like that just seems like a situation where the team respects the player not to play games.
Yeah.
So they're either going to get it done quick with him or let him go. And if they let him go, teams are going to jump on Mike Evans like that. It just seems like the perfect situation for a quick signing to happen.
Yeah, that's a really good one. She said, I was like, damn, that's a good one. This counts as re-signing, right?
Yeah, this counts.
Give me Wan'Dale Robinson.
Give me
Alec Pierce.
Alec Pierce?
Yeah.
You think he's going back to the Colts?
Yeah.
Just get it done. Daniel Jones needs you, Alec Pierce. Without you, he's nothing.
Yeah, I wanted it to be Wan'Dale, but I'm just biased. I just love Wan'Dale.
I hope he signs back with the Giants because then I feel like I can draft him again next year. If he doesn't, I'm going to be quite nervous drafting Wan'Dale Robinson. You'll probably get him. Someone will get some value, but that uncertainty often scares me away from these players on new teams.
Yeah.
But George Pickens, like you see that it can in fact work the other direction.
I beat you every year.
And that's why not every year, just most years, JL.
I think you beat me this year, actually.
I had a pretty weak fantasy season this year, except in Dynasty. My redraft leagues struggled. My Dynasty leagues did pretty well. I think that means I was bad this year, but historically I've been okay, baby. Means we got to pick up the slack.
All right.
I think that's going to be it for us today, guys. We'll be back tomorrow. Pay attention to our Twitter at FrontYardFYF or hit the notification bell on our YouTube channel. That'll tell you when we go live, right when we go live. Until then, though, adios, everyone.
Arrivederci. Thanks for hanging.